Well, howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome on in, everybody. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic Monday. Welcome on in. It is time for us to get back into some Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Howdy, howdy, Robo. Welcome on in. But before we do that, before we jump in to more Black Flag, I wanted to spend some time to talk about something that was released today. If you're, I guess, living under a rock, or just don't roam on the social media sites, the Marvel went ahead and released the trailer for Avengers Doomsday. Wanted to go ahead and talk about that. I'm not gonna react to it because I've already seen it. I actually watched it 3 times so I can make sure that I have my thoughts all in order about it. So we're gonna spend some time talking about that here real quick. I'm gonna be very honest about this, and it's my honesty is in no way should no way be, come out as interpreted as my dislike for the movie. I can't dislike something that I haven't seen. But my excitement for Avengers Doomsday is pretty low right now. And again, that's not me saying that it's bad, because again, I haven't seen the fucking movie. There are, I do think, based off of what I've seen from the trailer, because again, I've seen the trailer a couple of times, I think it'll probably have some incredible action scenes. The Russos do have a great track record when it comes to being able to finagle a large ensemble cast, as we've seen before. When they've done like Captain America Winter Soldier, then Captain America Civil War, and then in the Avengers movies with Infinity War and Endgame. And I'll get more into this, I guess, in a little bit, but they're also very good at emotional beats, emotional moments, which we saw in the trailer when we saw Steve Rogers back, Thor back. My concern isn't the spectacle of it, because it's gonna be a spectacle. It's gonna be like fireworks. My concern is the story. As many of us probably have already thought of, but when you think of Endgame and Infinity War and why those worked, it's because the stories in those movies had buildup. They had time. They had an accumulation of plot and emotion built up, and the Infinity War story and Endgame story felt earned. We watched as, Tony went from a selfish billionaire into someone who was willing to snap his fingers to sacrifice himself. We've seen Steve become the moral center of the Avengers. We've saw Thor lose almost everything that he loved. When we think back to those movies, that 10-year-long story, the Infinity Stones weren't random MacGuffins. They'd been appearing throughout the movies within the span of those 10 years. And we were slowly introduced to Thanos, the quote-unquote big bad, since the first Avengers movie. And then we got a sprinkle of him here and there in Guardians and so on and so forth. And so that payoff felt earned. With Doomsday, because of everything that's been happening within Phase 4 and Phase 5, and kind of Marvel having to... what's the word I'm looking for? Course correct. I don't feel the same build-up. Which, again, it's been great seeing new characters from the comics being introduced within these last couple of phases. I'm not saying that this is not to knock those characters. Like, I really enjoyed seeing Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk. Even She-Hulk is one of my favorites from Marvel. Um, Sam Wilson becoming Captain America, and then the first family finally appearing proper in Marvel. I don't dislike any of those characters. They I don't know if I can necessarily call it an issue, but I think it's one of those things where the first 10 years everything felt interconnected. These felt like individual stories, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when you're trying to build up to something that's like an event type story, you want to make sure that they're somewhat connected. You know what I mean? They're You're not getting the same connective tissue in Phase 4 and Phase 5 for Doomsday or even Secret Wars, but we're not talking about that right now. That you did in Phases 1, 2, and 3 when it came to the first 10 years. Another reason that I guess I'm feeling this way, I'm talking a lot about my feelings because can't find another word for it. Another reason I am in this frame of mind. There you go, I found it. Um, is because I was a huge comic book reader when I was younger. There was a bit of time where I stopped, but I've recently, and by recently I mean like within the last 2.5 years, have gotten back into it. I've gotten back heavily into comics, reading both Marvel and DC, although more heavily DC, and I'll probably, if you want to hear about that, I can talk about that at a different time. But I think reading comics has genuinely changed the way I experience stories. I Because I've been reading comics, I am now paying a lot more attention to, character arcs, themes, relationships, setups, and payoffs, and why certain moments land emotionally. And again, this is not to say that comics have made me, air quotes, better at watching movies. It's that they've given me a different perspective, that they've simply changed the questions that I ask while I'm watching movies. And again, this can happen if I was like reading novels. This could happen if I was reading smut. Don't ask me about that. It's just that I have a a closer knit. What am I trying to say here? I feel closer to comics than I would anything else, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. So instead of asking kind of like, was that scene cool, I'll also ask, did this moment earn that specific story beat? Because those are two different questions. Now, because we're talking about Doomsday, we're going to go ahead and look at Doctor Doom. He is one of my favorite Marvel villains. Because he is so complex. Most people would say, oh, it's because he's powerful or he has cool armor or because he became a god at one point. I mean, those are just layers to how compelling and complex Victor Von Doom is. His pride, his love for Latveria, his belief that only he can truly save humanity. Some of the best villains see themselves as the heroes of the story, and that's why he is one of my favorites. Another reason why he's one of my favorites is his rivalry between him and Mr. Fantastic, otherwise known as Reed Richards. The relationship between the two is one of the greatest rivalries in comics. So if that relationship isn't a major pillar of these movies, I worry that we'll get the visuals of Doom without actually getting what makes Doom Doom. You know what I mean? Again, these are just my thoughts from watching the trailer. This could be kind of strung up as speculation. Because again, I haven't seen the movie. I have no idea what Marvel has planned. Maybe they're holding their cards close to their chest. Because there have been a lot of leaks over the last year or so, which I have gone to great lengths to avoid because I don't want spoilers. I generally do not. I fucking hate spoilers. I want to experience the movie the way it was intended. I'll watch a trailer here and there, but I won't watch all the trailers because as we get closer to the movie, the trailers tend to give more information than what they should. Although, to be fair, in the past, I'll say when it comes to specifically like Avengers movies, the trailers don't give everything away, which is a good thing, especially when the Russos are involved. So maybe I don't have to worry about that this time. To continue, I do think it is pretty obvious where the story is heading. I do fully expect the heroes to lose at the end of Doomsday because it's, and this isn't a criticism. It's a logical step. It's the Russo brothers following a formula that has worked, and it's Marvel saying, "Hey, just do what you did last time." I'm not saying that the story's gonna be the same. I'm just saying there's a formula to everything, right? So the heroes are gonna lose at the end of Doomsday. It's obvious, and that's how we get into Secret Wars. If you read the comics, Battleworld feels like the logical next step, which is in Secret Wars. My concern isn't the destination, it's whether we've taken the journey to get there. Does that make sense? There is a rumor that I have heard that Secret Wars could actually become 2 movies, which, if true, I think that's a good thing. Secret Wars was such a huge event back in 2016 that I don't feel like that one movie is enough time to tell a story not just involving Battleworld, but involving Doom, the multiverse, Reed Richards, the Avengers, Spider-Man, and whoever else Marvel decides to have show up. They need to give that story room to breathe. At the end of the day, I do hope I'm wrong about my feelings towards the movie, because again, my excitement is low. I don't feel like any of the buildup after Endgame has been earned to get us here, story-wise. They are adding 7 minutes of footage, supposedly, to Endgame, and they're calling it Avengers Endgame Encore. I don't know what's in those 7 minutes. It could tie in everything together, but I don't think it's gonna be what they want it to be as far as like making everything fit together in a nice, neat bow. It's been messy from the jump. You know what I mean? I would really love this movie to completely surprise me. I want to walk into the theater and leave thinking, well, that was incredible. Right now, I'm not feeling that same excitement I felt leading into Infinity War and Endgame. I went into both of those films with such excitement, and I left feeling thrilled and emotional. I left feeling like, yeah, this paid off 10 years. I hope I get that same feeling. I don't know if I will. We'll just have to wait and see in December. I do have some theories about the movie. Because of who Doctor Doom is in the comics, again, this is just it's a theory that I think is plausible based on who Doom is in the comics. Doom is incredibly charismatic. Doom is politically savvy. He is capable of genuine acts of heroism. And he is, from most of the time, willing to work alongside heroes when it benefits him. I think one of my theories, at least, is that there will be a twist in the movie. I don't think he is going to be an outright villain at first. A theory that I do have is that he might show up and warn the heroes, the Avengers, whoever it may be, about the incursions. They'll look into it and they'll see that he's telling the truth. He'll have, because he's so charismatic, he'll have a air of truth to him. They say that some of the best lies have an air of truthness to them. So I do believe he will pull the wool over their heads and say, I'm here to help. And then at some point in the movie, they're going to pull the wool off their faces and be like, holy shit, he lied. And that's where we're going to get, probably in the climax, huge battle, Doom wins, universes collide, just like in Secret Wars, the comic series, and Doom becomes the God Emperor and ruler over Battleworld. And then we go into Secret Wars. That's my theory. I could be 100% wrong here. Again, it's just a theory from something that I find plausible based on the comics that I have read. But what do you guys think? How are you feeling about Avengers Doomsday? Are you excited? Are you thrilled? Are you feeling about it? Let me know down below. Bye!